Welcome to the Mother-Daughter-ish podcast. It's your mama's favorite podcast.
And the podcast your daughter always wanted.
This is Miss Dawn.
And Angelique.
From the 713. Houston, y'all. Get connected and stay connected weekly as new shows debut on Sunday, Wednesday, and please check out our Saturday Out and About showcases.
Enjoy the show. Please subscribe, like, share, comment, and tell every woman on the planet that you know about our show.
Here's our show for today. Mothers and daughters, guess what? I've got a PSA for you to join us for an amazing meet and greet. Join Mothers and Daughters and the International Ladies of Purpose for a special meet and greet on May the 17th at Black Rock Coffee Bar. That is the one that's located at 7075 Highway 6 North. It's in Houston, Texas, 77095. That's on the west side of Houston. We're going to be there from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Come and connect with us. Come and network with us. Come and meet and greet other nonprofit leaders and for-profit business owners in various communities around Houston. Also learn more about everyone's mission, how they empower other women, how they are uplifting communities. Whether you're passionate about personal growth, professional development, or simply want to meet like-minded individuals, this is absolutely the Saturday event for you. Mark your calendars, and we'll see you there at the Black Rock Coffee Bar, located at 7075 Highway 6 North, Houston, Texas, 77095, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Make sure you bring plenty of cards, plenty of postcards, plenty of flyers if you've got events coming up, plenty of everything to share with everyone that will be in attendance. I'll see you soon. Bye. Hey, mothers and daughters. Today I have an amazing guest. Her name is Courtney, and she is here to just talk to me about, that other thing that I love to talk about, which of course is travel. So we are just going to talk everything exciting about travel because we are just so tired of you missing out, frankly. All right, Miss Courtney, introduce yourself.
Hello. Well, thank you for having me. I am Courtney. I'm in Alberta, Canada. So I decided last year to become a coach. So I focus on solo travel, especially for women, because there's a lot of hesitation, a lot of fears around that. And I focus on empowerment, mindset shifts that can all help us kind of work through that so that we can enjoy those experiences, like even for once in your life, but all the amazing things that can come from just taking that chance on yourself, taking that one trip, and
Right.
experiencing it in its fullness as well.
Right. You are so right because, people listen to a lot of other things that are going on, and we all know there's a lot going on in the world, but I'm telling you, just to be able to get out and try new foods, to be able to meet new people, try a new thing, just do anything that's new and out of your element, it really brings on additional ways that you can tap into being, getting rid of that fear. I told you I was going to wear something inspired from one of my favorite trips for 2023. And this is just an outfit that I got and a hat that I got. I got this hat in Hanoi, so in
Beautiful.
Asia. And I watched a lady hand make it for me. And then this dress I got in Hong Kong. So in 2023, me and 3 other ladies, we went on a Thailand excursion for about 18 days. We left Houston, went to Atlanta, caught from Atlanta to Singapore. And from Singapore, we aborted we got on our ship. We went celebrity cruises, and we went through all of Vietnam and Chiang Mai and Hanoi and all the way to the end to Hong Kong. And it was my most favorite trip for 2023, and I'm excited. Now, my 2024 trip was my trip to the Middle East, and I got to go to Dubai and Abu Dhabi and Qatar and all of these other places. And I'm telling you, most of the places that I've been, women look at me and they go, I would never do that by myself. And I'm like, well, I didn't go to Thailand by myself, but I would have, but I did go to the Middle East by myself and I had a great time. Tell me about some of your favorite trips that have just in the let's just say in the last 5 years that have really, really,
Yeah.
really inspired you and you have such great stories and pictures, of course, from?
Yeah. Well, one of my biggest trips and like most memorable because of, what came from it was my first big solo trip, say to Costa Rica. And I went at Christmas time. So the holidays when it's a family time
Yeah.
and everybody is making plans to be with family, I was getting out of Dodge, right? And going to another country to explore. I went to four different places. It was a 10-day trip. I extended it a couple days because I was like, I'm not coming back before New Year's. Like,
Right.
I'm going to stay there. I'm going to celebrate it and embrace all that it has to offer. And I met some amazing people along the way. And it was just like, it was exactly what I needed because it was something I dreamt of for years that
Right.
I wanted to celebrate Christmas
Right.
somewhere else,
Right. Right.
somewhere warm, right? And I
Yeah.
met other solo travelers and families, and everybody was just so
You were by
friendly.
yourself, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You know what? In 2016, I went to Costa Rica for 2 weeks by myself for my birthday, and everybody thought I was crazy. They're like, in Costa Rica, this happens, and in Costa Rica, that happens. And I'm like, oh, when did you go? And they're like, oh, I've never been, but I heard. Shut up.
Mm,
But you were so right. And I love that you just said, because you made something click in me. You said you wanted to do something else for Christmas, right? Something different.
yeah.
I was like that in 2015. I said, you know what? I live in Houston, Texas.
Mhm.
And for Christmas, we're hot. We don't get a lot of cold weather. So one that particular Christmas, we were looking at the weather and it was like going to be 75, 80 degrees or whatever. And I was like, you know what? I've never seen real snow. And when I say real snow, I don't mean the little flutters, and I'm talking about real snow. So I was like, where can we go to get snow? So we went to Colorado to go snowmobiling, and I had never seen real snow. And then, from there, that moment, 2015 to now, I like to go to Colorado. I like to go to Utah. Utah is actually my favorite place because it has powder
Mm,
snow, and I love the soft powder snow that they have. But we've been to Taos, New Mexico to snowmobile. So snowmobiling has become our thing that we
mm,
do for the cold winter because we don't get a cold winter here. So
yeah.
when you said you want to do something different, it's like, now let me ask you this. When you told people this is the thing I'm going to go and do, what were some of the things they said?
Well, and this was like at the end of COVID when it was, you had to have certain things in order to travel. So even that was, like not for everybody. Not everybody was ready to travel then either. So they thought I was crazy, right? And like, what and why? And like, couldn't understand why I would want to go alone
Right, right,
too, right? Like everybody, and especially over the holidays when everybody's making plans to get together. And I was just pumped and excited. And no matter what people said to me, I was already determined. I was going. I didn't let it break me or
right.
make me reconsider. I was preparing and I was going. Like,
No
so
matter
no,
what, you
no
were
matter
going.
what. Yeah, and like I really wanted people to just trust me, especially like my family or my mom worries and whatnot is like I had to show that I was comfortable and confident and
Right.
also that like show her that like I have it planned out. I have a backup plan. I will stay in communication, like just add some comfort and some peace, like trust me, I got this, right?
Right, right, right. There you
So,
go. There you go. Yeah, I'm telling you, one thing I did to make my kids and my family and different people feel comfortable when I'm traveling to different places. I do the share my phone type
mhm,
of thing, and we put different things in place. And of course, the sometimes you can't make a phone call because maybe you're in an area that won't allow calls or whatever.
mhm.
But always letting them know like what hotel I'm in, giving them my itinerary list of
Yeah.
here are the things I'm going to for sure do, but here's just some things that I also have on my list, and I'm not going to kind of veer from that.
Mhm.
And then I also let people know, and you can attest to this as well, that even though you travel solo, you're never alone. You're
That is one of the biggest things
yeah,
I
you're
tell
never alone.
people.
You're meeting people, and not just a stranger in a hotel or something, but you're meeting people on your excursions. You're meeting them on your tours. You're meeting them when you go to the museum and you're doing things with a group or whatever. It's not like you're just like out there walking the street or something. And I think that's the
Mhm.
the visual that like our
Yeah.
parents our friends that don't travel. I think that's the vision that they get in their mind, is that we go to these places and then we get in a strange car that's not certified taxi or something, and that we let these
Right.
strangers drive us all around the city that could kidnap us or whatever. And I'm just like, no, we're not doing that, because safety is
Yeah.
always be first, especially as a woman.
Oh,
No.
I am more hyper aware when I'm solo. I'm paying attention
Yes.
to street signs, routes that I'm taking. I don't have earbuds in when I'm walking around. I'm
Dude.
following a
Or head
map.
down on the phone.
Yeah, no, like I am present. I am planning out my route, even maybe like where I'm going, like before I leave the hotel when I have service. Like I
Right.
really like to use airplane mode a lot and just like stay in the moment and whatnot and only
Right.
turn it on when I'm out, like not just texting friends like the whole time I'm there is I'm there to experience it.
Right.
So I really try to plan it out for myself in advance so that I can just be there, be present, meet people along the way.
Right.
And if it's an emergency or I'm feeling lost, like get comfortable with asking somebody or turning on my phone, using the data, checking it, and then, focused on, okay, what's my plan? Where am I going?
Right.
Like figuring things out. And I love that about, being on your own is how many times like we're with friends and stuff and we're distracted and we're just walking.
Right.
You're not really taking in the sights and landmarks
Right.
and the tools that help lead you back. Because when you can navigate that on your own, it's so empowering at the same time. It's like, I did all of this. Like I went here, I went there, and you made it back safe all on your own. There's a different level of like empowerment and how proud you are of yourself for that, right?
Absolutely. And then that you get to start over that next day with more excitement.
Yeah. Because you're
So
like,
share
okay,
with,
where am I going?
so share with me, share with us, let's just say your last 5 amazing trips. And and
um,
and why?
and why? Okay. Well, I shared Costa Rica. That was a big deal for me, and it was amazing. And I did so many amazing things there that I love because it was doing a trip like that and that made me book a couple more right after in the next year. Um, that helped me just apply certain things to my daily life. So, like where I live and exploring the city that I live in, kind of thing, right?
Right.
So, my next trip after that was one like that just called to me was Chicago.
Hmm.
And that is one of my favorite cities. And I
Really?
went back again and went to a concert by myself.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I
Yes.
Right? Like I fell in love with that city when I went there and I explored it like I, went for a long weekend. Say I just booked it last minute, kind of like 2 or 3 days before, just
Right.
decided like I'm going. And it was beautiful. It was sunny, nice weather. People were out and I'm like, city of 10 million people is a big deal. Like,
Right.
for where I'm from, like our
Right.
city
Right.
is a lot smaller. But I did kayaking while I was there. I went out to a comedy club. I met like a random group around my age, maybe a few years younger, at the bar.
Hmm.
Like I just decided I want to go home. It's a Saturday night. Like I want to go out dancing. Found a bar as I was kind of wandering around, and there was this group of two women, two men were out for a good time too. And they were just
Uh-huh.
like, oh, like we are just chatting in the lineup and they invited me to be a part of their group.
Right.
And we got a drink together, we went dancing, and it
Right.
was just so much fun. And I was like, I live for those kind of experiences, right?
Right. Right.
Um, Another one, I will say, this one wasn't a solo trip, but it was amazing with a group of people. And
Right.
so that
Right.
was Jamaica. We went for one of my best friend's weddings. They were getting married there, and there was, I think, 17 of us, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And it was just amazing, like to be part of a group like that, and everybody came together, and like there was, like this, that kind of sometimes there's like separation in the groups and whatnot. There was none of that. There was just, it felt like family
Right.
that went there, right? And it was their closest friends and family that went, but everybody felt like they were part of the family.
Right.
Like it was just an epic trip. And it's one of those that I also just felt very comfortable and confident that, if the trip wasn't going my way for some reason, or there was something I wanted to do
Mhm.
that maybe everybody else wanted to do something else, that I would feel comfortable to speak up and be like, you know what, I'm going to go do this for myself because it's my trip as well.
Right, right,
And
right.
I think it's important to like have that for yourself. Like so many people do a lot of trips, right? And
Mhm.
with groups and they miss out on things.
Yeah,
So just knowing that like, hey, if there's something that's really calling you,
yeah.
that, it's okay to leave the group for a little bit, go do that thing and come back and have a good time.
Yeah, and as long as
So,
everyone in the group agrees that they feel like you're going to be safe and you're going to, do,
yeah.
because I've been in a situation like that when we were in Hong Kong. We did we as soon as we got to Hong Kong, everybody was like, okay, let's go ahead and get some food so that we don't know what time everything closes or we're not sure. So we all got some food, and one of the people, she went to look for food, but she didn't find anything. So she was just like, oh, okay, that's okay. We'll just go ahead and do some exploring. Because our hotel was attached to this long, 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 long mall. And so we went to go and check those things out. And we got on the train and went over to another place. And then when we got back, so it's like 8 o'clock at night. And so some of the street festival type, street vendors and things were still open because it was downtown. So we talking hundreds of, street vendors. And so we go to the hotel. We say, okay, well, we're gonna go to the restaurant here in the hotel. And I'm not hungry, but we'll go with you. And so she said, okay, so the restaurants were getting ready to close, so they didn't let us in. So here it is, it's now 9 p.m. And she says, I'm so hungry. I'm not going to be able to sleep. And I go like, oh my goodness. One, it's way past my bedtime. I don't care what time zone I'm on. That's late
Right.
for me unless there's some action going on, then I'll stay up.
Yeah.
So we say, okay, well, there's a kind of like a little vendor that has sandwiches or whatever. Like, okay, go over there and get something. She's like, no, I need a full meal. I'm like, oh my God. So everybody in the group was like, we're wore out. We just got off the ship this morning. We got to the taxi over here to the hotel. We had to wait an hour to check in. We know we're going through the day. And she says, well, y'all go ahead and go to the room. I'm going out to find food. And we were like, everybody, all us women, we were so nervous because we were like, first of all, we're in Hong Kong. Second of all, there's 1,000 vendors out there. We don't know which one she's going to. We have the track the phone thing because we all share our track the phone thing. And we were like, okay, you know, we don't understand why she wanted to do that. And then something clicked in my head and it said, don't worry about it. She's gonna be okay. She'll be just fine. And just so happened, she texted us all 20 minutes later and said, I didn't find any food. All the food vendors were already closed. I walked for 7 blocks and all the food vendors were closed. And the ones that were like meat markets and stuff, they were not preparing food. They were chopping up, things for the next day. And so I was just saying to myself, okay, now the first thing I thought was, okay, tomorrow we're going to make sure that everybody eat something because
Mhm.
waiting around to see what happens doesn't work. You have to make sure that you get your food and your water and take your pills or whatever it is that you have to do. Because she did say that she missed out on taking her medication because of that. But that was like the first thing we said when we got there because the other lady said that she needed to get some food too. So there were so many opportunities to eat. And I'm like, why wait until 9 o'clock at night? I was so nervous, but just when that thing clicked in my head and said, she's gonna be fine. There's nothing going to happen. That thing that clicks in that says everything's going to be fine. So it's really kind of the only experience I've had with that. Okay, so you have Jamaica, you have Chicago, you have Costa Rica. All right, what's the other
Yeah.
two?
Let's see. I've been on so many and like with different people. I
Right.
will say one of my favorite places that I like would love to live is Hawaii.
Oh,
I've
you've
been
been
there
there?
3 times
Oh my
with
gosh.
three different people I went, and well, one was a small group of us, and two other times was just me and one other girlfriend.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, I could live here. Like it is one of my happiest places. I just love it.
Okay.
So I can't pick
So that
specifically
would
each
be
one,
that would be a place that
but
you say, I want to live there.
oh yeah. And
Oh my
honestly,
gosh, that's
before I met
exciting.
my husband, like that was my plan. Like by the end of the year, I was moving to Hawaii for 3 months, 6 months, whatever, like hang
Whatever.
out on the beach, travel the islands. That was my goal.
Okay.
So now it's like a goal for us to go as a family
Yes.
at
Yeah.
some point. So, because I'm like, I just feel at home there. Like it is an amazing place
Isn't it
to me.
amazing that feeling that you have and you really almost can't explain it to people because it's a soul thing? It's like
Yeah.
when your soul lands somewhere, it's like I feel like I'm home.
Yeah.
I've tried
Like
to
it
explain
just,
that to people and I don't get it across to them because they're just like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, it's just because maybe they haven't experienced it yet, but once they do,
mm,
then they will understand at some
yeah.
point in their life what I was talking about when I'm explaining. It's like your soul just relieves and says, okay, this is home type of thing. It's weird, but it's a great
Mhm.
feeling.
Yeah, I like it is hard to explain, and until somebody experiences it themselves, they're not going to really understand. And a lot of people will travel and then, like they're ready to go home,
Yeah,
right? Like they're like, they haven't had that experience of like feeling like I'm already home, like in that place. And
right.
it's just something about, yeah, Hawaii that I'm like, I could live here. Like this feels like home. But I grew up by the ocean as well. So like when I meet the ocean, I feel very calm at home. It's like
Okay, that
I
makes
want the
sense.
sunshine
That makes
and
sense.
like and the culture, the beautiful people, like, everybody's just so friendly and welcoming and it's hard to ignore that, right? Like it's hard to like leave that when you're like, this feels so good.
Very true. Okay, and your final one?
Final one. Oh, so many. It's so hard to choose. Um,
I'm sitting here in my mind going, okay, which five? Because I've been so many places, but I got them narrowed down in my head.
I know. And, this one's sentimental for me, so I have to choose this one. It has to go on the list. And it's not far out. It's actually within Canada. And it was last summer. I actually took my husband and stepson home for the first time. And so, like, my family is 5,000 kilometers away.
Okay.
So I grew up on the east coast of Canada in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia,
Okay.
and I only moved to Alberta after graduation.
Okay.
So it was the first time I got to bring my family home.
Oh,
And it like I spent 36 years being single, right? So
wow.
this was a big deal to like actually bring like my significant other and including my stepson
Right.
home to experience the East Coast. It's a whole different lifestyle, right? And we grew up very rural, small town on the water, and we got to travel around Nova Scotia and we went to PEI as well. And they just loved it. Like, just we took the ferry, we took the boat, we traveled all over, and it was just one of those like experiences that for first time and just something like very near and dear to me to be able to experience that with my own family.
And share.
Because I have other siblings and they're all married with kids for many years and I was just doing my solo thing for so long
Yeah.
and independently and to be able to share that experience with
Yeah.
my own family now, like that is something that has to be on my top five.
And did your husband, did he love it there?
Oh yeah, he had a dream of going to PI and experiencing Charlottetown, so we really tried to fit that in, but yeah, it was a different world for him kind of thing. Just like, things are spread out, like the city for Halifax isn't um big compared to the city of Calgary. So, but there's the waterfront. You get to be by the water and just enjoy it. We were there for Canada Day and there
Okay.
was
I
an
just wrote that
overwhelming
down and
amount of
like
people.
I wrote that down and I'm like, I gotta look that up. I've not been to Nova Scotia. I've only been to a couple places in Canada. So Ontario
Okay.
and to Toronto. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
had to explore, but I hadn't explored some of the other places. But me and my travel ladies, we were just talking about Canada. And I was saying,
Mm.
let's go to some, I know one of the ladies said that she wanted to go to Banff. There's
Oh,
some
yeah. That's near me. So,
lake.
like, I go whenever I can because that has the Rocky Mountains that
Yes,
go. Yeah,
yes.
it's beautiful.
She
So
showed me
that's
pictures.
about an
I was
hour and a
like,
half drive
oh,
for me.
okay, that's not bad. That's just a weekend
Yeah.
trip or something. Yeah.
Well, I did a solo date day there just a couple weeks ago. I took
Yeah.
myself on a whole day trip, just myself. I did a 5K hike, or it ended up being 7K. I
Oh,
went to the hot springs And then I took myself to downtown Banff and I went to eat at a restaurant and wander the streets and get a coffee and just, fill up my cup kind of thing. It was a beautiful day and I was like, I just want to have like a solo date, like just out of the city. And I love hiking. I love the mountains. So I was like, I'm going to go to Banff. I went on a Tuesday, so it wasn't super busy,
Right,
just
right.
like so I could really enjoy it. But yeah, I highly recommend doing things like that are near you to experience it.
Yeah,
That can really help, some of the anxieties that you have with solo travel and traveling to other countries is, you know, take yourself on a solo date like around your city.
that's right.
Go experience a museum, like things that you would do. Go experience
Yeah,
a restaurant or a coffee shop.
exactly.
So, yeah.
We're on the same.
But Banff is amazing. The Maritimes, East Coast. So if you do Newfoundland, PEI, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, amazing. Especially in the summertime. There's so many things to do, but it's a whole experience there for sure. And that's my ideal time to go is the summertime and all the beaches and lots of good seafood. Like
See,
you
that's what I
can
would
you can
love.
have it all.
A lot of
Yeah, that
seafood.
would be an amazing trip for your group for sure.
Okay, good. I wrote it all down because I'm like, okay, I need to be able to come back and say, you know what? No, remember when you talking about Canada? Guess what? Here's some photos of some places we might want to think about for 2026. So
Yeah.
that would be really
You won't be disappointed, that's for sure.
no, I don't think so. Because even, when I was in Toronto, I had an amazing time. I had never gone to Canada, never anything. I was there
Mhm.
for a conference and I stayed a few extra days just because I'm like, okay, I can't come this far and not explore,
Yeah.
get out and
Mhm.
do some things. And I was by myself. So I had a really great time. Everybody was so nice and so
Yeah.
kind. And I
And
was
you'll find that on the East Coast, especially like you could be walking down the street and people just wave, acting like they know you kind of thing, right? Like
which
people
I'm
like
used
the
to in
small town
Texas.
vibe.
Yep, I'm used
Yeah.
to that in Texas. So it's like it just felt like, okay, this is cool, type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I was gonna say my top five, of course, it would be Middle East that I went to in December. It'd be the 2023, the 2023 would have to be the East Southeast Asian cruise that we did. And then I would say 2022 men seven ladies, we went to Tennessee. And in Tennessee, we visited Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. Cutest
Mhm.
two towns you have ever seen. What I love about Pigeon Forge is that they had I would say a 5 mile stretch of a street and on both sides, they had all of these things to do. Like they had a replica of the Titanic boat. They had a huge oversized camera that was a place that you could walk in and do like all your photos and stuff. Like you could visit. They had the White House was in there. The United States White House was on the street, but it was flipped upside down. And so when you go in there, it had all of these mazes and things you could do, go-karting and all kinds of stuff like backwards and things like that. So that Tennessee going to Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg was so cute. Matter of fact, just in February, my daughter and her boyfriend, we went to go visit him in Memphis. So we drove over to Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge because he's been from Memphis all his life and he had never gone over there. So I'm like, how have you not been there? So that was so much fun. So let's see, Middle East, Southeast Asia, Tennessee, and then I'll say Honduras. I did mission trips in Honduras for 8 years with my church. And so Honduras was really, really an amazing place because of the mountains, because of the
Mhm.
greenery, because of the people, because of course, the food, and because of the mission that we were there for. It just really inspired me. And I love to be extra inspired. I'm already self-inspired, but I like to be extra inspired. So that was
Yeah, I
amazing.
love that.
And my number five, I will have to say was when I went to Indonesia. I went
Mm.
to Jakarta, Indonesia by myself for my birthday in 2017, I think. And that was amazing. It was a great solo trip. So I, have people I go with and then my solo trips. I have to have that balance, of course. But going to Indonesia was really, really amazing. I met so many people that I'm still in association with right now. People from India, people from Middle East, people from different places that on WhatsApp every now and then will say hi to one another. And I met some other solo women that were, there from multiple different places, Sri Lanka and all kinds of places. So that trip was really amazing. And that's when I got the opportunity to go to Bali, which I'm taking a group of ladies, 10 ladies again in November. Our ladies group, they want to go to Bali. So I'm like, oh no, I'll absolutely go back to Bali, but Indonesia was really, really, really awesome for me. And I am hoping that for 2025, for my birthday in September, I'm spending a month in Morocco. And I am hoping that it is every single thing that my dreams have told me. So,
Right.
if only my
Or
real
not better,
life
right?
yeah, yeah. It's like, okay, like come on, real life. I know that sometimes you supersede those dreams, so let's
Yeah.
see what's gonna happen. But that's what I'm looking forward to for this year. Again, I've already been to Bali, so in November that'll kind of be a repeat of what I've already
Mm.
done. So September will be the only time that I'll be really going to somewhere international that I have
Mm.
not been to yet. Other places that I haven't been to, I'll be going this year too, but that's my big, trip for my birthday. I always go somewhere I've never been to for my birthday. Like I already know for 2026 in September for my birthday, I'm going to spend it in Phuket because Phuket I
Okay.
was supposed to go to last year, but then
Mm.
we ended up going somewhere else. So I was like, okay, last year I ended up going to Guatemala for my birthday. And it was a great
Mm.
trip as well. But again, I had to narrow this down to five.
Right.
So, yeah.
I know, me too.
Do you have a place that you go to that's a repeat for you other than Hawaii? You went 3 times,
Oh,
but is there
yeah.
any other place or you're gonna stick with Hawaii as your repeat?
Um, Hawaii definitely because it is on the list for a fourth trip and
Right.
whatnot.
Right.
The other place I went to was Chicago.
Yeah.
Funny enough, like I went there the one time for myself for 4 days and like had the best time. I went the following year because it like I was like, Chicago's calling. Like anytime I heard the word, like, just heard it in a song, it was in writing. Like I just seen it all the time and I was like, Chicago is calling me back. And
Yeah.
it still does. Like every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, Chicago. Oh, there's Chicago again, right? And so I did go and this was 2023.
Okay.
And I went, I decided I wanted to go to a concert. Morgan Wallen was on his world tour and I just
Yeah.
loved him. I had seen him here in Calgary at one of our country music festivals the year before, and I was like, I'm gonna go. And I wanted to go to Chicago again. And so he was at Wrigley Field,
Okay.
right? And he had all these amazing artists, and I booked a VIP ticket
Woo.
and was like, I'm going, like, I'm on the floor. And I actually, like, my now husband, we were just dating. We had just
Yeah.
started dating a month or two before.
Right.
And I invited him to come to Chicago with me and experience it. But I only had the one ticket for the concert. So we had to,
Okay.
he went and did his thing. But I was like, come with me and like experience the city. Like, it's amazing. And
Yeah.
so he did come, but I did go to the concert by myself. I was prepared to go the whole trip by myself. I had it planned out. I
Yeah.
knew what I loved and I went and it was so amazing. Like, and I'm ready to go back. Like, I will go back anytime.
Okay.
It just was a beautiful city and I feel like I haven't experienced all of it. I
Hmm.
know there's more places I still want to travel out there, obviously, like anywhere I can. It's always calling, right?
Right. Right.
But yeah, Chicago, I've been
It's
twice, and I'm
fantastic.
like, I would go again in a heartbeat. Like something about it, just
Yeah.
like I could live there too, or try it out for a little while, right? Like,
It's a nice place. I've gone there and I've also done their Taste of Chicago where they do their big food
okay,
festival. And then,
yeah,
being downtown and riding the little boat through the city, that's also
yeah,
another fun activity. But no, I've had some great food there. I've met some wonderful people there. And it's a place,
mhm,
if I was invited to come back, I would definitely go back. My repeater is Mexico and Louisiana. I
ah,
my mother is from Louisiana, and so I'm very,
mhm,
very, very familiar with all of Louisiana. And so whenever
mm,
there's something going on in Louisiana, like, a jazz fest, a food fest, any type of thing, Mardi Gras, whatever, I love, love, love
yeah,
it. Louisiana is in me, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
Mexico is one of those places that when I go, I'm home.
mm,
It's
yeah,
one of those places that I am home when I go
mm,
there. And I go to Mexico probably, let's just say like every 3 or 4 months or whatever, sometimes with my daughters and their friends, or I'll go
mm,
myself, it doesn't matter. And Mexico for me is just so much fun. I feel so very home when I'm there that I don't
mm,
mind renting a car and driving around. I don't mind getting on a train and going from city to city. I don't mind, like I'll land in Cancun, but I don't stay in Cancun. I'm on
right,
whole box, on the
mm,
island. I'm in Tulum on the island. I'm doing other things. And so when I go to Mexico, I'm just continuing to explore, and I've now explored over 19 of their different islands and other cities and places that I can stay when I go there. But I really do. And for me, being in Houston, it's right next door. It's literally an hour and 30-minute flight.
Yeah.
And it's literally, right during COVID and after COVID, you could get those $67 round trip tickets. So we were gone all the time.
Yeah, why
Me and the
not?
girls and their friends and my sons and their girlfriends. And it's like, come on, guys, the tickets are $60. Let's go. So
Mhm.
I remember one time when I was in Gatlinburg, Tennessee with the ladies, my daughter calls me. She goes, Mom, Frontier is having a special today and they're doing $19 round trip tickets. So we text everybody we know, let's go to Mexico. She was trying to book 12 tickets to Mexico and the website crashed on her for 2 hours. It
Oh
took
my
her,
gosh.
but we wanted those $19 tickets.
Yeah,
By the time she booked the
I want that.
by the time she booked the $19 tickets, there were 12 of us going, and she was like, I need a break. I'm going to take a nap. This wore me out. And I'm in the back seat on the phone. We're driving around Gatlinburg doing our thing. And I'm on the phone with her. And I have a picture from the lady in the front seat, took a picture of me. I'm on the phone like this, like, oh my God, we're holding for so long. But she wanted me to hold on the whole time, even though I'd given her my credit card number. And I'm like, here's who's going. They'll Zelle me the money later. It's $19. Even if they don't Zelle me, so what?
Right.
But I said, oh my gosh, and we've been like hounds looking for that special again. It has not come. We've got
Mm.
as low as
Oh,
the 60 something, but we have never gotten the $19 again. And that was in 22 or 23 or something.
mm,
But boy, I tell you, when I'm looking for travel things, I want to do
mm.
it the most affordably so I can do more and more and more.
Ah.
That's my girl math, especially if I pay for something. Listen, if I pay for it in advance, when I
Yeah,
go, I almost feel like I went for free because I paid for it already. So it's already left to
already good.
my mind on what it costs. So my girl math says, oh my gosh, you got a free trip, which
Well,
is
and then you can have so
completely
many more
ridiculous.
experiences, right?
Yes,
While
yeah,
you're there, because you're like, oh, well, like that's already paid off. So, like,
yeah,
this is spending money, and it's the
exactly.
best thing to spend money on is experiences, right? Like
In my
exploring
opinion, I'm going to
cultures.
have to agree with that because that has been imprinted in my brain. Like for 2 years, I want to do a train ride. Well, in May, on the 14th of May, I'll get an opportunity to do a train ride in Alaska. We're going to go through the
Mm,
Denali Forest, and we bought the tickets 2 months ago, right? I get an email on Friday that says, "Oh, we need you to reschedule your tickets because we're doing buy one, get one free." And I called
oh,
them. I said, ladies, we got to buy one. Somebody's getting money back. And they were so excited, like screaming on the Zoom.
yeah,
And I was like, not only am I going to get this wonderful trip that I've been wanting to do, and it's the train that has the glass top.
yeah, I've
Not only
seen
am I
that.
going to get to do this train ride, but I'm going to get to do it at half the price I even wanted to pay because it was 14.97 total, which
Yeah.
included 4 days on the train, the
Mm,
two hotels in the two different forests that we're going in, Denali being the biggest one, and it has
mhm,
the cutest little downtown area for us. They had concerts and all kinds of stuff set up for us to entertain us every day. And I'm like,
oh,
not only are we going to get all of that and a couple extra days in Alaska, but we're getting that for half price. So now we can take that other 700 something dollars and use it toward another trip that's coming up. Like, we could use that in July for our girlfriend getaway weekend to Sedona, Arizona. And everybody's like, you know what? You're right. I'm like, we can go ahead and buy our tickets for that. So, when we start doing girl math over here, boy, I'm telling you, it gets real tricky, but it always ends up fun.
and it worked out. It sounds in your
It definitely
in your benefit.
It works out in my benefit, but I was so happy to see that buy one get one free because now we have two more
Hmm.
ladies who couldn't afford the 14.97 that are like, oh,
Mm,
we got you on seven something. Okay, that's cool because of all the other
yeah,
expenses. They were like, no, we got you on
yeah,
that. Cool because our flights are really inexpensive on Alaska Air. It's like $350 or something.
that's
So
amazing.
yeah, that's really
That's
amazing.
a
I'm
great
a budget,
deal.
I'm a budget traveler. Like
Hmm.
I'm one of those people that
Mm,
I'll wake up so inspired that, okay, everybody's got their money in the account. I'm buying our tickets today. Okay.
hmm.
I will literally sit here for 5 hours until I find the price is right.
Right.
And until
Wow.
the price is right, I'm
You.
going to continue to shop. But that's how motivated I am to make sure that we
Hmm.
can get it within. the budget of what we set, that I will sit here and I will look and I will look and I will look and I will look and I will negotiate and negotiate and negotiate until
Mm,
figure it out. I even have people who are travel agents that work for like Expedia or whatever. And if I have to get them on the phone and say, hey, what can you help us with? Here's what our budget is. Here's where we're going. What can you do to help us out? And I'll call in the cavalry to make sure,
yeah.
save some money on that, because
Oh, good for
I
you.
have a bucket
Like,
list
not
of,
enough people do that,
yeah,
right? Like, there are so many deals out there to make travel more affordable.
it is.
And, but you got to put in a little bit of extra work and get to know the system, right? Make connections and at
Yeah.
least try. You have nothing to lose if you're ready to go on this trip, but you
Right.
want to see if you could get it just a couple bucks knocked off. Like,
Just
it's
a
worth
couple bucks
trying.
shaved off. I mean, because I don't know why my brain works like this, but when I want to go and I want to travel somewhere, my brain sets the price and it'll say,
Mm,
I feel like the value of XYZ is this. And so then
mhm,
that's what we start looking for. So if I say, okay, I'm not going to pay more than $700 for that flight, or
mhm,
I don't want to pay more than this amount of money for that hotel, even though it may be a
mhm,
five-star hotel. My daughter works for Marriott, so we're always using her discount. So that works out good. Like when I was in the Middle East, I was at the Delta Hotel by Marriott. In the United States, it's $575 a night. I got it for $47 a night.
wow.
And I felt like
That's a steal.
I was in a penthouse. It was
Yeah.
beautiful. And it was also, and I don't know why this keeps happening, but that was also attached to a never-ending mall. I said, somebody
Mm,
need to be shopping because every time, even when I went to Toronto, I stayed in the Sheraton Hotel downtown and it was attached to a mall. And I'm
mm.
just like,
There's some good
wow.
deals there because they want you to go shop.
Right. In a couple of weeks before I go to Alaska, I'll be going to Panama City, Panama with my daughters. The
Mm,
hotel is the Renaissance attached to a mall. I'm like, okay, come on with the mall stuff. When I stayed in Costa Rica, my
mm,
Marriott hotel was in the area where the what do you call those? It's not a mall, but it's
mm.
like an outside type mall, where you can.
Yeah, I was attached to one too in San Jose, like because I had to stay there
Was it
overnight
Marriott?
before. I don't think it was
It's
Marriott,
mine was
but there was like
Marriott,
an outdoor thing.
right by the
Yeah,
highway, and it's got all the
yeah,
shopping places. That's the hotel I stayed in.
yeah.
Every day I could just walk out of the hotel and just go to the different shops. And I was so excited. I
Mm,
looked out my window one day and I'm looking at all the different stores and I see that they had a Mini Cooper car dealer there. I drive a Mini Cooper, right?
okay.
I got dressed so fast and I walk over to the Mini Cooper
Mm,
dealership and
mm,
I'm so excited because they had things in there that none of our stores have. They had the Mini
mm.
tennis shoes, they had the t-shirts. I purchased so many Mini Cooper things. And when I got back to town and we went on our little mini excursion with my group here in Houston, they were like, where'd you get that stuff from? I'm like, in Costa Rica. They put me in, I booked a hotel that was not only attached to a whole shopping pavilion, but also the Mini Cooper place was right there. And they were like, how do you get so lucky? I'm like, I don't even know. I
Yeah,
don't.
like maybe it's better not to ask the question. Just go
Exactly.
with
I'm
it.
like, I just go, exactly, just go with it. One of my favorite movies to just go with it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about bucket lists. What's on your bucket list going forward that you are just looking forward to no matter when it happens?
No matter when. And I was thinking about this the last few days too, is
Yeah.
because I was talking to somebody else recently about travel. And one thing like I really want to try with traveling is like I would like to do a retreat. Like I would like to go to a woman's retreat. That is on my list. I think it would just do wonders for
Come with us
empowerment,
in July.
inspiration.
Come with us in July to Sedona. We're doing our women's retreat, so that would
And and as you're saying that, I'm just like I did like all the places you were talking about because I have been to Arizona.
yeah.
I went there solo, and I've been to New Orleans, and I've been to Houston
Yes.
actually as well.
Okay.
So I
Awesome.
went there in July. It was July with a girlfriend, and it was very humid,
Good.
but it was still a great experience too. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, a woman's retreat, like I would love to do something like that. A bucket list too is like a hiking thing. Like for a while, I've thought of like Machu Picchu, like going to Peru kind of thing. And I know that there's also some women's groups that do like Kilimanjaro or something like that as well. And
Yep.
they female guides from the country, and
Yep,
like
I
I
met
just
a
think
lady.
like
I met a lady when I was in Indonesia. She was in her
mm,
late 60s and she had done Kilimanjaro 5 times.
oh my
And she
God.
started leading retreats there. And I'm not being
Mm,
judgy or anything, but I was like, oh my God, she's 60 something and she's doing this. And my mind kept saying, I wonder if this is something you could do, Dawn. Because I remember when I was in Malaysia, we went to this temple, but to get to the top of the temple to see the magic, you had to climb these 220 steps.
mm,
And I looked, and they were not steps that were easy. They were up
right.
like that.
Yeah.
And I looked and I was like,
Mm,
no, no about that.
mm.
Hmm, should I, can I do this?
You can do it. It's how
No,
bad you
it was
want to.
more, do I want to do it? And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I see this man who looked like Buddha
Mm,
with this crown thing on his back that had to weigh 100 pounds, and he was already 500 pounds.
mm,
And I saw him just lightly like a feather go up and go back down, and lightly like a feather go up. And I just stood there like this. There's a picture of me just
mm,
doing this, watching this man. And the lady behind me, she took a picture. She said, because Dawn, your face was priceless. And I
mm.
looked at her and I said, if he can do it, so can I. And I
Yeah.
did those steps. And it was so funny because I was with a group of like 60 something people.
Mm,
And at the top up there was like 30 of them. And as I'm going up, they're cheering me on. Come on, Dawn, you can do it. Because my face was like, oh my God. Because the one thing we had to watch out for, they had these little monkeys that would come and steal your cell phone or steal your purse,
oh yeah.
take it and run into the mountain. So, I couldn't
Oh
video it. So they videoed for me at the top because I was scared and at that time you didn't have those things on the back of the phone, that you could
right.
take and put your finger through it and save your phone like
Yeah.
that or whatever. So I was like, I
Hold on to it.
lose my cell phone on this trip. So I'm coming up the steps and everybody's cheering me on. And I get to the top and I was like, I was so amazed at the beauty of what I got to see up there and the people in
Mm,
the line for the prayer and the water, it was just so beautiful. And I was like, and I almost didn't do this. And I
mm,
almost didn't do this. And then from that moment, I decided there was never going to be something that I'm going to second my guest on. After that, I've, skydive, anything, anything. You can't tell me I can't do anything after that because I was just like,
mm.
I was hurting and in pain by the time I got to the top. But my mind, I looked at that lady, I said, if he can do that, so can I. Because,
Go.
if he can do it,
Yeah, and you did it. So
and
you're like,
I did it, and it was so
now what's next?
exactly what I was saying then is what's next. And the fact that I got it on video, the fact that I have pictures of everything, the fact that I got to talk about it after on video, and what that experience was like was just kind of like otherworldly. But there were some people in our group that were like, I'm not doing that. And I'm talking people who are runners and hikers, and they were just like, I'm not doing that. And I'm like, I understand because I was literally at the bottom of those steps saying the same thing. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, what's the reason for me to do that? And I'm glad that I did it because then I realized what the benefit and the reason was. It's just
Mm-hmm.
that extra confidence that comes across you. Like when I did my skydiving for my birthday and in the midst of
Mm,
COVID, I think it was 21 or 22
mm.
when I did my skydiving. After that, I was just like, oh, don't even talk to me. I can fly. It was,
Yeah.
and I went by myself. I just woke up that morning on my birthday and I said, today I'm gonna go skydiving. And I got dressed. I
That's
called them. They
amazing.
had if I needed to make an appointment, they'd say, no, come on in. We're not busy. I drove from
Mhm.
Houston to Rocheron, Texas, which is about an hour away. And I did my skydiving and I was scared the whole way, but you would have never known. And when it was
Mhm.
done, I was like, let's do it again.
Yeah, I did skydiving here in 2014. I was like, I'm happy I did it once. I don't know if I'll do it again, but it was a great experience. And it's something I only told my mom I did after I did it.
Exactly. I
You
didn't
know,
tell
I
anybody
love
after.
her, and it was better to like go do it and show her that I survived.
Yeah, and you know what I did is I didn't even physically tell people. I just posted my video and my photos
Mm.
because when you do it, of course, you have the GoPro people up there.
Yeah,
And I just
yeah.
posted it and everybody thought it was photoshopped. They were like, "Oh, that's cute. You
Oh,
photoshopped the picture." And I was like, "No, literally, I did that this morning." And they're like, "You're kidding. You're joking." I'm like, "I'm not." But I originally wanted to actually skydive in Moab,
mm,
Utah, because it's in the desert. It's, that's so I said if I do it a second time, I'm definitely going to go to Moab and do it just simply because of the scenery and the mountains
Yeah.
and the desert and the red dirt and all of that. So if I do it
Hmm.
again, if it's not in a different country, of course, then I'll
Hmm.
definitely do it in Moab, Utah, because that's a place that was literally where I was literally supposed to do it. But because I woke up that morning, I wasn't going to drive to Moab. I'm like, I can do this in Texas somewhere. I just had to find out, well, we're in Texas because we got plenty of land, but who has a place here? And when I found out,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's a straight shot. I can go there and be there in an hour, so that's not a big deal.
And that's the best time to do it is like when you feel it, just act on it. If you let yourself think
Yeah,
too long,
over.
you're going to talk yourself out of it,
And
right?
I can do that in a minute. If I take too long to mull over anything, it's not gonna happen because I've already figured out 50 reasons why it shouldn't.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. I could think of a time like when I was in Costa Rica, I decided to do zip lining while I was
Yes,
there.
yes.
And
Did you do
like
the regular one or the Superman one?
it was the regular one. And there was like 11 canopies that you got to do.
Yep, yep, yep,
And it was pouring rain. This
yep,
was, I think, Christmas Day or um, it may have been like Boxing Day or something like that. And I booked it last minute through the
yeah.
hotel. And funny enough, the tour forgot to pick me up. And I'm just sitting out front waiting, and I'm just like, maybe I don't want to do this, right? Like, like it's okay. And finally, like, somebody from the front desk just came and was like checked in on me and asked, and I was like, yeah, like I'm waiting for a tour, but like the time had passed. And he called them, and I was like, you know what, maybe I don't want to do this. I was starting to have that doubt, talk
Yeah,
myself out of it, like
yeah,
it's not, you know, just those nerves, and I'm by myself and I don't know what to expect. And
yeah.
sure enough, he calls them and they're like, oh, well, we're right down the road. They weren't far, so they came and got me. And I
Okay.
was like, oh, crap. Get there. There was a whole group at that time. So, like, I was supposed to be a part of the group,
Right.
and they drive me up on the back of a truck. Like, you drive up this rickety road in the
Yes.
pouring rain. And I go down the first one, but I'm like hyperventilating. And the whole drive up, I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Like, this is crazy. Like,
It's like
I
in your
shouldn't have done
brain
it.
it starts to go like,
Right?
well, what if I get kidnapped or something? Because you
Yeah.
start looking
Like,
at those roads and you're like, yeah, I could get in the back of these woods and never be
like,
found
where
because
are they taking me?
into the
Like, I'm like,
rainforest.
yeah, just all those nerves and like talking myself out of it, but in my head where I'm like, I'm not like physically, I'm not backing down. Like, I'm not going to show that fear.
Right,
And it ended up being such an amazing experience.
right.
Like once I, controlled my breathing, like just breathe through it. And it was so fun. And I caught up to the group, and there
Good.
was these two little girls from they were like English. There was a family there, and she was like, wow, like you came in so fast. And like I didn't expect to catch up with them. I didn't know. And then I was like like with their group the rest of the way, and like they were just like so energized and like so fun and cute, and they just loved it. They were like, you just came in so fast, and like we didn't even expect you. We thought we were the last ones. And so I just chit-chatted with them for the whole thing, and they made the experience like that much better,
Right,
right?
right. And
Like those unexpected things.
that's the thing about meeting all these great people on these different tours and
Mhm.
things, because they do make the experience even better for you because they see, okay, you're solo by yourself. So they're just like, come on in. We're all family on this trip at this
Yeah.
moment. And that's it's the weirdest, most exciting thing, especially when
Mhm.
you tell it to people, because you have that
Mhm.
experience and you may never see those people ever again in your life.
Exactly.
That's why you enjoy
And
it while you're in the moment.
yeah, and stay present. It gives you a different level of experience that you can't plan on. And another perfect quick example, like while I was in Costa Rica, I went on a hike. I booked it myself for the suspension bridges in the cloud forest in
Yep,
Monteverde.
yep, yep.
And I was walking along doing the bridges, and I came across this family. They had, I think, 3 or 4 kids with them. They were from the United States, actually, and they were like, oh, so sorry. Like they were kind of holding me up on the bridge a little bit, but I ended up walking and chatting with the mom for a few minutes. And then I could have kept going because they had to stop and like give one of the kids snacks and stuff like that. But we kept talking, and I decided, like, this isn't a race. I have time. And I walked the rest of the hike with them. They had one baby in the stroller and two younger ones. And, I was used to being around kids anyway. And we were just chatting about different trips we've took. And, they were just so friendly and like saw that I was a solo traveler. And like, we just had this amazing experience to chat through it. I'm like, I could have sped walk and like went on my own. I was like, no, I'm gonna stay present. I'm just gonna chat with them until like it's time for me to like move on or like and we talked the whole way and it just added to that experience of like stop, enjoy it, like I'm seeing the scenery too, and I had the time, like why not connect with people that are on in the same country but on their own journey as well.
Exactly.
And
Ex-
yeah, it just adds those layers to that experience where you
yeah.
have all these memories and like
Hmm.
that you can't plan on, that you're like, this was amazing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. What would be
Mm,
one thing that you would share with those ladies that want to travel?
mm,
It's an opportunity where they probably will be solo travelers, or
mm,
even, for me, I will tell them if they're afraid, then find a group of ladies that you can travel with, or join a small, small group of ladies that you can travel with every now and then. But what would you tell them, just a tip, either on the solo travel in or the group travel in, to get them out there? Because honestly, they're missing out. They're missing out on opportunities. They're missing out on developing longing relationships. They're missing out on experiences. They're missing out on food. They're missing out on
right?
so many things.
Hmm.
For me, it's the culture part that I get excited about.
Yeah.
Like when I'm
Hmm.
in Mexico and we're in the back areas of Mexico, I love the family culture of how the men run everything. How
Mm.
grandpa says what everything happens. When you come to grandpa and you say, Grandpa, I'm gonna get married, grandpa says, okay, we got this. And grandpa puts everything together to make sure that mom and dad agrees with what he says, because he's putting the
Wow.
yeah, he's putting the family together. He's making sure that you get all the things that lead up to the wedding. He's making sure that the people who make the flowers and do the this and
Mm.
the that. I like grandpa. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's the culture part of all of those things. I know when I was in Asia, it was the older women who really were
Mhm.
the guidance of everything, and the men led, but in silence.
Oh,
The women
okay.
really were the ones at the forefront that said, I got this, I'll handle this type of thing. So I'm excited about the culture of it all,
Mhm.
the 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 family aspect of it, the who's in
Mhm.
charge that makes
Mhm.
this thing works. And
Mhm.
you have to realize the reason that's so important is because we meet people all over the world. Let's say you marry someone from a different culture. You need to
Mhm.
know how that works so that you're
Yeah.
not butting heads because you're used to it this way and you're
Mhm.
used to it that way. Well, we're gonna have to find a happy medium if we're gonna be together, because certain cultures you cannot veer away from. Just like when I was in the Middle East, I met so many amazing people. And the
Mhm.
men over there happened to be absolutely beautiful. And I love a big beard, so they all had my attention. But as you're meeting people
Mhm.
and they're being very honest with you to say, I wish that my culture wasn't the way it was, that they would never allow me to date somebody outside of my culture. My mother and father already know who they've already planned for me to marry. So if I was to date or marry someone outside of this culture, I lose everything in my family.
Mhm.
And just hearing that, I'm like, I get it. I get it. You got to do what you got to do, because
Yeah.
you lose your family
Mhm.
to be with this person, which what if it doesn't work out with that person? Then you still lost your family. So
Right.
kind of like, do you get in line or do
Mhm.
you go away from the line? I don't know. It's a personal decision, but I think that
Mhm.
you have to know that if you think you want to date outside of your culture, you better know what the rules are, because you
Well,
gotta you
and
gotta
doing
know
your
whatever the playbook
research,
is. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
hearing it firsthand from somebody there too to explain it, because you can hear the emotion behind it, and like what it really means to them and for them, right? So that you can really understand like where I live, I guess, like, it's flexible on what our beliefs are, what our religions are, even if you were how you were raised, like,
Mhm.
doesn't always, you still get to make your own choices, and there's a lot more freedom
Right.
for us, right? In that, but other countries and other cultures,
Love
it's
that.
not. It can be more rigid. And doing your research and, like talking to people firsthand who can really explain it to you so that you get the point that it's not all flexible and easy to make that choice, right?
Right.
If it's something that you want to pursue for sure.
Right. Right. Because I was asking one of the gentlemen, just sitting down eating, and you know,
Mm,
people see you by yourself and they just come sit with you and say, "Is it okay if I sit with you?" And I'd like to know a little bit about you. Like, are you here by yourself, or where are you
mm,
from, or whatever? And like, you traveled by yourself, and just asking me questions like where I'm from. And I saw a family, and I was just curious, so I'm always going to ask questions. And I saw that the lady was wrapped all up. You couldn't see anything but her eyes. And the little daughter, who looked like she was about 8, she was wrapped all up. You couldn't see anything but her eyes. Her husband was a little more relaxed, and their son,
mhm,
who looked to be about 6, he had on shorts and a button-down t-shirt and tennis shoes. And so I asked the gentleman that came over to talk to me, I said, "Can you explain to me why the girls have to be wrapped up, but the guys don't
mm,
have to be really wrapped up?" I said, "The husband, he has his long, clothing on, but you could see
mm,
his face, you could see his arms, you could see what kind of shoes he had on, and the son was dressed just like he was from America, whatever." And he said,
mm.
"Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but in our country, the girls and boys don't go to school together until they go to college." He said, "So
Oh.
they are never allowed to go to the same school, even if there's a graduation or anything, even if they're brother and sister, they're never allowed to go to school together. Like,
Mm,
all girls and boys are separated till you go off to college. And by the time you go off to college, you're probably already married, because you probably got married at 16 or 17, because it's legal over there. If you as soon as as soon as a girl becomes a woman, she can get married, even if that's at 12. Okay. And
wow.
so he said the boys can show themselves because the women are considered the prize, for lack of better words. They're considered the prize. So they're not to show their body. They're not to show the silhouette of their body. They're not to show the sacredness of their skin, or anything that a man could consider sexual. They are not allowed to show it. So if you think my eyes are sexual, that's your problem, because that's
Right.
all you can see is my eyes. He said,
Yeah.
though, when the ladies are at home, they can dress however they want to. They can dress in shorts or whatever they want to inside the
Mhm,
home. But if they had to go outside to they can't go outside like that. They would have to completely dress up just to even go outside to get something out of the car and come back in.
mhm,
So he explained that to me, and I was like, I understand. So then, as I continued to see things, it made sense to me when he was
mhm,
talking to me, and I said, "Oh, this makes sense." He said that's why when people come from other countries over here, and he said sometimes the ladies come in their scantily clad dress, he said they can literally go to jail for that. He said any authority can take them
mhm,
to jail for that, and they can stay in
mhm,
jail for quite a while for showing breast or showing certain parts of their body, because they have a country where they don't want the men to be able to see anything about a woman that they could sexualize. Like, you can't show your ankles.
mm,
So I
mm,
was like, man, the education was amazing, that he was just sitting there. He's just talking to me and talking to me. And he was so gorgeous. And I was like, wow, he had a great
mm,
conversation and everything. And I'm just sitting here listening and listening. And it was so many opportunities like that as I was out and about. People come up to me and, want to shake my hand and say hi. And, where are you from?
mm.
And, so many people thought I was from so many other places than what I was from. So I was like, this was
Yeah.
exciting to kind of play that game of where are you from. But so many nice people. I mean, I did not meet a stranger. Everybody I felt like very comfortable talking with them and having conversations with them. And the women were so nice. Matter of fact, when I got on the elevator in my hotel, there were two young ladies. They're dressed all the way. They may have been 12 or 13. There was two of them. And as soon
Mm,
as I got on the elevator, they said, "Hi, ma'am, how are you?" Very good English or whatever. And I said, "I'm doing great. How are you ladies doing?" And they were like, "We're doing great." And then they never said another word, and they just stood there. And then when they got ready to get off the elevator, they said, "Have a fantastic day, ma'am." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, these girls are so mannerable." And
I know. I love the Mandarin.
couldn't see anything but their eyes, couldn't even see their hands. They had,
Mm,
their hands covered and everything. And I was
mm,
just like, oh my gosh, they were so mannerable and just so cute. Just their personalities were bubbly through their voice. And I
mm,
just was like, man, they were awesome, awesome girls, and English was perfect and everything. And they didn't have to say anything to me on the elevator, but they did. And when they got off, they made a point of looking back to say, "Have a fantastic evening, ma'am." I was like, "You girls too." It's like, wow.
yeah.
So those are experiences that I love having in different
Mm.
places, which is why my bucket list is a whole binder this big, because I have so many things I want to experience, so many festivals I want to go to, so many trips that I,
Yeah.
want to go on, so many places I have not been yet that I still do want to go. So what about your bucket list? What's on there that you have not done, but is on your list like I cannot wait to do?
Well, I mentioned the hiking for the
Oh,
mountains.
Kilimanjaro.
I because I really want to like push myself. Another one would be to do like I did my first half marathon a couple years ago here in Calgary, and I haven't been running as much lately. I've been walking, but I would like to experience that in like another country, another city, is to do like a half marathon race and like be a part of a cause and do
Mm-hmm.
something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like not just here at home, but to go to another city and experience it elsewhere in the world.
Mm.
Um,
We do a big Houston marathon here. I used to volunteer for about 5 or 6 years with them, but it's a huge one that we do here. And they've been doing it for, I know, about 25 or so years, but people show up from everywhere. Because when I used to volunteer and I'd hear people say, "Oh, I'm from Louisiana," or "I'm from New York," or what, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's exciting." Yeah.
Yeah, so cool. Just so many because like I want to go to Europe and spend time there. Like I want to go to Italy and like learn to make pasta, like do a food cooking class, right? Like make
Amazing.
pasta, make pizza. Like
Amazing.
I want because I did go to Greece once with a girlfriend too, and we
Okay.
did like a food thing at one of the restaurants. Like we got to cook and prepare the meal and sat with a bunch of ladies that like all helped and
Hmm.
right? So we made a few things. So it was like 3, 4 hours long. And it's just such a good experience, right? And I'm like, I want to go to Italy and like I want to actually like make the pasta like from
Right.
scratch and learn
From scratch from
from
the
the
little
people
thing. Yep.
there.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, like stuff like that. I want to spend time like Scotland, Ireland, England, and like especially like the old castles, old towns and that kind of thing, like to experience that. I love South America, so like I want to hit up some more of South America as well. I have been to Brazil, to Rio. That's my sarong that's hanging up. It's just so colorful when I got it there. So I'm just like, I want to do like Chile and Peru and like
Hey.
Ecuador was high on my list as well.
Yes.
I've just heard so many good things. So, and just like I just feel so good when I've been there, right? The people, the culture, right? Like everybody is so friendly and welcoming, and there's just so much to learn.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, like those are, but it's always growing as you keep doing research and talking to people and learning. It's like new things get added all the time, right? So yeah,
Tell you
that's a few of them.
a lot of what you just said, some of it I've done, but there's some things on your list that just excited me because I was doing my family genealogy and
Mm,
come to find out in Scotland there's a castle called the Fobbs Castle. That's my last name, Fobbs.
yeah.
A castle called the Fobbs Castle. And so I reached out to them and they said because I have that same last name, if I wanted to stay in the castle for free, I could. So
Oh,
I said in 2027, I was telling some people in my family,
yeah.
I'm going to put a family trip together, family and friends. I'm gonna do it in Scotland. I said, and there's, like 20 or so castles that we want to visit. And I said at that particular one we have to visit. And so everybody's kind of excited about it. So 2027, we have we're calling our castle tour there. And I've
Yeah.
been to Ireland. And when I went to Ireland with this group of about 50, I think it's like 57 or 58 people, I used to
Hmm.
travel around the globe with the Napoleon Hill Foundation doing leadership development and training. And so
Okay,
they
that's amazing.
took me so many places. They were the reason I was in Malaysia that time. But when we were in
Yeah.
Ireland, we got a chance to stay in the castle of the last Duke and Duchess that there ever will be. And I think that was 2014 or something. So we got
Mm,
to stay in the castle there. And I'm going to be honest with you, before I ever lived, stayed in a castle, my mind used to say castles are overrated. They seem to be cold and drafty and blah, 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 blah,
right.
blah, blah, until I stepped into a castle. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm a castle girl. I could live in a
Yeah.
castle. And
Yeah.
maybe I should build me a tiny castle in tech, your
There
whole
you
mind
go.
changes when you experience something for real. And then we
Hmm.
took a photo with our entire group and the last Duke and Duchess of Ireland. and it landed on their front page of the newspaper.
Oh,
And the lady that was their assistant or whatever in the castle, she ended up sending us a copy of the front page thing. And then the leaders of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, they ended up emailing all of us a copy of the front page of the newspaper. And so I have that
oh
hanging
my
up.
God.
And so it's like I even get blessings after I'm done with the trip. Things start to happen.
Mm,
So that's why you can
mm,
understand why I love travel so much because I've
yeah.
had all of these wonderful experiences. But not only that, I'm looking forward
Mm,
to all of the
mhm,
next experiences, whether they be
mm,
alone, solo, or whether they are with a group of people, or whether it's just with my daughters, because they've been traveling with me forever. As a matter of fact, since they were little bitty kids, and now they have got the bug that has bitten them, and they love to
mm.
travel so much that they're like, you know what? We're done working for other people. We're gonna start our own businesses just so we can travel like you, mom. And I'm like, I know the bug was gonna bite you at some point. So
Right?
that's what I'm helping
Because
them
there's
to
just
actually do
so
is
much out there to
there's
learn,
so much,
right?
and it doesn't matter
Can't.
if you're in the US or if you're international, there's something everywhere.
Mm,
All these little towns have something to offer. Like in Texas alone, we have
mm,
so many cute little towns that I can go in. They have the perfect little downtown space. They have the perfect little bookstores. And I'm a bookie girl. So I love going into old bookstores and finding books from the 1900s that are personal and professional development type of things. I love to go in and, when they're a nickel and 25 cents because nobody cares about them. And I'm like, do you not know? This book was written in 1926 by so and so. Like, I'm all emotional about it. And they're like, lady,
That's gold,
lady, just give us the quarter and leave, you know.
right?
But
It's a quarter.
yeah,
And
yeah.
you're like, no, this is like life changing.
And they look at me like, whatever. I've had that
Mm,
so many times of like, please just pay for the books and leave. Why are you so excited? It's like they
mm.
don't understand it.
Mm.
Ever been on any trips where you've gotten an opportunity to do like visiting inside of different caves and things?
Cave. Not entirely. Like I explored a cave here in Bama.
Yeah.
It was an old bunker.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting something, but maybe not a cave.
Yeah. I visited my first cave was in Texas, up in we have a place called Bernie, Texas, which is near San Antonio. I went into that cave and I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea we had so many caves in Texas and other places.
Oh,
But then I went to Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and my hotel was right next to a zip lining place that also did cave tours. So I did the zip lining, and then me and my daughter we did the cave tour, and I was like, this one had a mystery in it because there was a source and a body of water that tapped into some ocean that they still have not found. What ocean? Because every time they send the divers down there, they can't they can't even go far enough. And there's some guy who's the number one expert diver on the planet. They sent
mm,
him in there and he could not find where that source of that ocean of water was coming from because the cave
mm,
was that deep. And so there's some mysteries in some of these caves that have just really, really, really excited me. I've done the caves in Missouri. Now, this
mm,
cave that we did in Missouri was exciting because they had built because the cave was so long, they built some railroad tracks. So you actually
mm,
got on this little cute train. And it was an open
mm.
train. You got on this little train and they drove you very, very slowly through the cave. And then at some points you got out and you walked through where, certain things were. And we happened to be there on a day where they were setting up where someone was going to have a wedding in the cave.
Really?
It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen because the lighting that they put in there made it look like the most magical thing that you could probably only dream of because the
Yeah.
colors were so vivid and vibrant. It was almost like out of a storybook. And it was set
Mm,
up for about 200 people. And the way they had the thing set up, you would have never thought anybody had thought about it. They had built a stage in there and everything for this wedding. And I was like, wow, somebody came in here and really got inspired. So I've been to
yeah. Who
so,
knew? Like,
and that was in Missouri, and I think that was in like 2019 or something like that. But just the
mm,
things that I've seen and the things I've experienced, the people I've
mm,
met, the different food. Like you were talking about Italy. I went to Italy with this same group that I was talking about. It's about maybe about 70 of us that went to Italy, and we got to go to Venice, and we got to go to Rome, and we got to ride the bullet train. We got to go to Sicily. We went all over Italy, and it
Hmm.
was a great experience. And I did do some of the cooking demos, and we did get a chance to go to the olive farms and then to purchase authentic
Hmm.
olive oil and all of these type of things. I had never gone on a bullet train before then. From I think we were in something Anna something, and the bullet train only took 30 minutes to get to Rome. By the time we sat down, buckled up, they did the announcement and the train started, we were in Rome. And I was like, I don't know what just happened, but I like it. Even on my video, all you see is fast, 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 fast on my video, and then all of a sudden we're there. And so that was quite exciting. And that was one of those things you were talking about in the beginning where you go on a trip with a group of people or whatever, and then you decide we want to go to Rome for the day. Where they were looking at a lot of the Catholic churches, and we had already done a bunch of looking at a lot of Catholic churches, where Michelangelo and all these people went, and we had done all of the things we needed to do, and they were going to do it again because a lot of them were Catholic, so it meant really, really something, for them special. Me and the other lady,
Yeah.
like we don't want to visit any more churches today, and so we went to the group, person and said, "Hey, we're going to go to Rome for the day. Here's exactly how we're going to get there. Here's our tickets, for the bullet train. If you need us for anything, here's our cell phone numbers. You already have that." We got on the train at 4 o'clock that morning. We went to Rome and we stayed until 10 that night and had an amazing time.
It doesn't it make it such a better experience to like, even to
It does.
ask for what you want and like take it and like go do it instead of following the group,
Right.
right? Like it adds another
Long as you're
layer and like
safe,
to
as long
that
as you're safe,
experience.
right.
Yeah.
As long as you're
You
safe and
you
you're
enjoy
okay.
it.
Yeah. And I was talking with a friend of mine about a year or so ago, and she went on a group with some friends to Dominican Republic,
Mhm.
and she met a guy. It always
Mhm.
starts with that story. She met a guy, and she decided that she was going to stay behind for an extra 3 days.
Mm.
And her group, literally, she lost friends behind this, because they
Right.
said they didn't feel like it was safe. They don't know this guy. He was just someone who
Mhm.
worked in the hotel. What if she gets more, everything negative.
All the bad stuff.
And
Yeah.
this was right on the heels of something exactly like that just had happened in Costa Rica. And it was
Mm.
big, 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 big news. And so they were just so nervous about it. But she stayed her extra 3 days because she's 40 some years old. She said she could do whatever
Mm.
she wants to do. I came with you guys, but
Yeah.
I want to stay a few days. I want to get to know this guy. So she stayed the extra 3 days. She came back safe and sound. Everything was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And she lost friends behind that. And I'm
Mm.
like, well, it is what it is, like the kids say.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It's
I I can
unfortunate.
understand the side of her friends feeling
Yeah.
very nervous about it, but I can also understand, let me see where this goes type of thing, because
Yeah. And like, trust me,
what if this guy
right? Like,
ended up being
trust me
her
to make my
husband?
decisions.
Right. Trust me that I have that same spirit in me that tells me yes or no,
Yeah.
or danger, danger,
Or
danger,
like, something's
no
not
danger.
right. Or this feels good. This is calling me in a positive way. Like, when you're listening to your intuition, your heart, your gut,
Right.
like, it's going to tell you, like, if
Yeah.
she's fighting for that for herself, then like she feels something good about it.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like you want your friends to hear that from you.
Right. And I had this happen with another friend from Florida. She went to Jamaica and she met a guy and stayed behind. She ended up marrying that guy.
Mm.
Imagine if she had said, "Nah, I got to go back because the team is leaving." So I got, no, she ended up marrying that guy and they're still together today. It's like 15 years later. They're still
Mhm.
together today, happy. And he ended up moving to Florida from Jamaica after a while. And so they are still together today. So sometimes you have to see where things are going to lead,
You gotta take some chances, right?
and then when your spirit tells you, no, this is not a good idea, then you abandon, abort,
Yeah.
abort, you don't.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Like if you start trusting yourself, you listen to that inner voice, like if it feels right, like you're gonna have those red flags too, like caution, like alert, like something's not quite right, or like you have that sense, and like it's getting to know yourself and like trusting that in yourself,
Yeah.
right? And like answering more of those things that feel good and listening when things don't feel good,
Right.
right? And hoping like the more you do that for yourself, you'll know what's right. And ideally, like sharing that with your friends so they can trust you, like have that same trust, I guess. Like, when they see that you make those kind of good decisions and that you trusted your judgment, you trusted your gut in the good and the bad, like hopefully it will transfer over as well as like, you've done this before, like we trust you that you've thought this through, like,
Right.
to
Okay.
go the distance and explore it for yourself. It's
Right.
like that's the ultimate goal. But not everybody, yeah, unfortunately,
Okay. Yeah. Well, before we
can have
wrap
that.
this up, I have one last question before you
Sure.
close out with me. Okay.
Okay.
What is the one thing that is on your I don't know when, I don't know how, and I don't even know if I'll be able to do it. But what's the one thing on your list that you're just like, this is what I always say, I have to do that before I leave this earth? What's that one location, travel, or thing that will take you away from your home that
Right.
you have to, have to do?
Have to do. Oh man, and that's hard to choose one because it's like you want to do it all,
I know, but
right?
what's the ultimate one?
Mm,
There's always an ultimate because, like I told you, I have a bucket list in a binder, but there's this one
mm.
thing that, like, literally, I can taste it. That's how much I have to do it. What's your one thing you have to do?
Have to do.
And it doesn't matter if it's with
I
people or if it's for yourself.
Right? Well, exactly. Like, I mean, when it's a goal and a dream, sometimes you kind of have to plan on it for yourself because nobody else is going to share that same vision, right? And I think the biggest one for me is to do with hiking, like do a backpacking
Mm,
trip where it's, a few days where
mm-hmm.
you're sleeping in tents with a
Mm,
group and it's in another country, and so you're getting that cultural experience as well, and just like that accomplishment is, like I do lots of day hiking, but like I want to challenge myself and like I want to do it somewhere else with a group that's challenging themselves.
yeah, you
And
said
like,
stay in a tent. I was like,
like, yeah, because it can take a few days to like hike that mountain, like something like Kilimanjaro. And, I want to explore other options, but I know that those are possible, but I know it will test me. And like, I want to have that full experience of like, this is going to take a couple days, and like, you're going to have to like break through these barriers and like these limiting beliefs and get uncomfortable
mm,
where like you're not going to be able to shower for a couple days.
exactly.
Right? And you're going to be sore, but like that feeling, that reward,
The reward.
would be some kind of like, yeah,
Yeah.
backpacking outdoor type trip.
You love to backpack. That's awesome. I met a lot of backpackers when I was in Thailand from America. They were over there doing their 30-day or their 3-month backpack. As a matter of fact, I have
Mm,
a friend in my in my car club. Her daughter came to her after
mm,
prom, after graduation, and said, me and my best friend, she and I, we don't want to go to college right away. We want to take a
mm,
year and we want to go backpacking in Europe. And the mom and dad almost fainted. And then
yeah.
they thought about it. They had a conversation about it and they said, we're going to do it. They talked to the other
Mm,
young lady, her best friend, that they've been best friends since fifth grade. They talked to
mm,
the other parents, and the parents got together and they celebrated with the young ladies because they would have never
mm.
gotten to do that at their age. Their family would have never
Yeah.
allowed it, right? And so
Mm,
they got together and they celebrated with the two young ladies and they let them go off together for a
mm,
year backpacking. And
mm,
they came back last year and
mm.
decided we don't want to go to college still, but we do want to start our own business. And here's what we're going to do. We've laid it out.
We like the ideas, the inspiration when like you do something that like calls to you, like what you can gain from it is just amazing.
Amazing. When the mom told me that, it gave me chills because I know that her mom is very open-minded. It's her only daughter. I get it. And the thought of her daughter backpacking and staying, different place, it just was freaking her out. And I was like, you trust your daughter, right? Because you raised her, right? You and your husband raised her. She's a butterfly. It's time for her to fly away. And she's going to be fine because she's got your prayers, she's got daddy's prayers, and everybody in the family. She's with her best friend. They're not going to let anything happen to each other. Their minds together is going to lead them to safety. She's going to be fine. I tell you, my thing that I have to do. First, I'll tell you, when my kids were little and they would go on mission trips with the church, or they would go to vacation Bible thing in the summertime, and they'd be gone for 2 weeks or whatever with church. I would always, when the day that I would drop them off, because they'd be gone for a week, the day that I would drop them off, I would always drive up to this little town in Texas, and I would always do a silent retreat, meaning I would let the people know before I got there, when I check in, it's only going to be through what I wrote on the paper. And I would get in my little cabin and I would literally not talk to anybody. And I wrote a lot of my books up there. I've written over 30 books, but a lot of my
Mm,
books I wrote either on an airplane or silently at my silent retreat. So my have to thing, and I was going to do this when I turned 50. And then, of course, we were in the middle of COVID, so that wasn't going to happen. Um, I want to go to India and I want to stay in a monastery. And I want to do
mm,
30 days of silence and
mm,
fasting. That's
wow.
the thing that I want it to be in such a situation that I don't want to talk to anyone,
Mm-hmm.
no one. I just want to sit and ponder on life and things, and I want to write and journal and drink water and fast for 30 days while I literally have no cell phone, no social media, no TV, no computer, no nothing but just me and my mind. That's my
That
have
sounds
to.
amazing.
That's my have to. So I keep saying,
Mm.
hey, which birthday will I make this a surprise for myself? Like, okay, to go
Mm.
with those. Okay, 55, that'll be great, but 60 would be even better, because
Uh,
I did something big for my 50. So it's like, okay, which birthday? Or will it just be on one of those odd years that I'm just like, nope, this is the year I'm doing it. So
it's
I'm gonna let the
beautiful.
spirit in me lead, and
Hmm.
whatever day and whatever month it says to do it, it's gonna be the month I do it.
Yeah.
But that
I
that
think it's
that's
so beautiful.
because I love sitting in silence.
Yeah.
I love just dealing with me and my brain. I love the things that this brain comes up with when I'm just
Hmm.
minding my own business and not bothering anyone. I also love,
Oh, I know.
but I also love even more the things that my
Mm.
mind comes up with when I'm fasting.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to explain it, but
Mm.
I just know it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I just know it's a
No,
good
and
thing.
there's just like so many possibilities there, and we get so stuck in like sometimes we just see the one path, and to be alone with your mind. And sometimes I go for walks every day, and I listen to podcasts and they trigger things, but I've been trying to like also pause them for a little bit and just enjoy this sound of like the birds, the wind, the trees, like just the quiet, and let my mind wander and let ideas flow for myself instead of being triggered too. Right. And I feel like we
Yeah.
don't always do that enough. It's like I look for inspiration from other
Ever.
people, but
Yeah.
I want that time to find the inspiration within myself. Right. Let my
Exactly.
mind think of something, like create something for myself and what it feels like versus coming from something else. So I think that's so beautiful that you're like, I want to go sit with my mind and
Sit
let it flow.
right.
Yeah.
Right. And
Mm,
yesterday I woke up and I was like, do you ever get in those moods sometimes where you just want to nest? Like you just want to clean up and you just want to cook, and,
mm,
and you just want to be very domestic. I was in one of those moods yesterday. So yesterday I woke up and I said, okay, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna make me some biscuits, and I'm gonna make me some
mm,
grits, and I'm gonna do shrimp and grits today. That's a southern thing. I'm gonna do shrimp
yeah.
and today, and I said, and you know what? I'm gonna listen to Teddy Pendergrass all day. I said, because you know what? I think back then those men begged for their women. And I'm single right now, right? So
Okay.
I really, and one of his songs, it said, about how when you meet someone, how they inspire you. And I said
Hmm.
and I told myself, I said, I figured it out. that's what I'm looking for, is someone to add to my happiness and to add to the inspiration. Not someone I have to inspire them, I have to motivate them, I have to drag them along. I
To
don't
do all
want
the
that.
work.
I want to be inspired by you, that it triggers the extra inspiration in me. And so
Yeah.
I'm thinking this may take a long time before I maybe find someone, but that's just gonna have to be okay, because I'm sitting there and I'm listening to Teddy Pendergrass and I'm like, yeah, okay. This, I know exactly what my mind is, telling me. Well, is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
Well, when it comes to travel, I
Yes.
think it's important, like talking about solo travel, especially is, there's two ways to go about it for people who are uncomfortable with the feeling because we were talking earlier about just missing out. And, everybody has that dream trip. Anybody who loves to travel has that dream trip in
Right.
mind.
Right.
And there's a lot of time like it's probably not going to go according to plan. And if you start involving more people that don't have that same vision as you
Mm-hmm.
have,
Mm-hmm.
then it could be tainted, right? Like you may not have the experience you dreamed of, and this is your
Right.
dream trip. So
Right.
I encourage people to like really, if there's protect that for yourself and like create it for yourself is you want to like have it all and like going solo, you get to have your trip your way. There's no compromise, there's
Right.
no negotiations.
Right.
You get to choose, you get to create it, you get to have that experience. And you can either jump off the diving board, jump off the deep end, book it, go experience it, do
Right.
everything.
That's
Or
right.
the other thing we were talking about is, like solo date, like starting off simple,
Yeah.
exploring the city that you live in, the town or a city nearby, and like taking yourself out for a coffee date. Or,
Right.
I went hiking one day is, there's museums around here as well. There's parks, there's different things that, are tourist attractions for lots of people is like,
Dates. Yeah.
just, maybe there's a coffee shop, maybe there's a restaurant you're dying to try and you keep waiting on somebody. Is like go do those things for yourself first and build that confidence and see like how amazing it can be. And every time I've done stuff like that too, I'm not the only solo person there. Like other people are doing it. Going to a coffee shop, there was four other people there that day
Oh,
that
see?
were all sitting independently, right? Going on hikes, like I meet groups, but I met one or two people that were on their own as well.
Right. Right. Right.
Hot
Okay.
springs, there was single people in the pool too. Like there's always going to be, and you can interact with them if you choose, even with groups, or you can just be there and like be proud of yourself,
Mm,
right? Embrace it, take it all in. And, it's so much more enlightening, empowering, inspiring to keep you going. And it's like, I don't have to miss out. I get to do it on my own terms and
right.
experience it exactly how I imagined, if not better, right? Than somebody who goes with you.
Right.
And maybe it's not for them. Maybe they're whining. Maybe they're complaining. Maybe they're like, oh, let's go. Like, this is boring.
It'll ruin
Right.
your whole trip.
Yeah. And like, you deserve to have like that dream experience, right? Or if not better, exceed those expectations, but definitely not for them to be stolen from you, right?
Exactly. I agree with you so much. Thank you so much for being my guest today. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad that we have the same kindred travel spirit because
Yes,
it just
we
made
do.
everything so much exciting and so much better. And I love talking about travel because there's just so many things and I get to learn from so many people like you. I'm like, okay, if I ever run across that lady with the Kilimanjaro tours, I know who to pass that information to. It's like now I'm gonna go back through because I keep a packet for every trip that I do. I keep, a packet. I'm like, I got to go back through that folder and see if I still have that lady's name or if she's still doing those tours. But thank you so much for being my guest today. I have appreciated and I have loved hearing your stories and your travel trips. And never know, someday you
Why?
may end up living in Hawaii.
Right?
You and your
Or I could
family.
end up on one of your trips here soon too.
Exactly, exactly.
Like it is, like you said, so nice to connect with other like travel enthusiasts. Like I'm a solo
Yes,
travel advocate. And like you can have the group trip, you can have the independence and stuff. And it's just every experience is just so beautiful. As long as like you stay authentic to yourself too, and like, go in for the experience and the joy and whether it's independent and learn from people or go with a group and experience it your way or with them. And there's just so many beautiful ways to travel. So
It
I really
is.
appreciate you sharing all of your experience because you've done so much and done it differently as well. And like
Yeah,
there's just so much beauty. Everybody can create
that's
their
right.
travel experience there for them, right?
Absolutely. All right, then. Well, thank you so much for being my guest, and I appreciate you. And we will do this again at some point when we're talking about travel, or if you want to share any other things on the show.
Yeah, I
All
would
right.
love to.
Bye for
All
now.
right. Take care.
You too.
Let's talk about it. I gotta admit, proud of who you
Oh my God, this looks
become
like rubbing alcohol.
and everything that you've done. Mother and daughter are always greater when they're together. Everything's better. Mother and daughter, oh, they're the greatest duo. Mother and daughter, oh, they're the greatest duo.
I don't get on TikTok like that.
It's not on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. That's on IG.
Anything you see on IG is on TikTok.